In a blink of an eye, we are already in the third week of January of 2024. It felt kind of quick, and we finally had the first major storm of the year. It was quite bizarre, but finally we got through it. It seemed just like the real estate market since the struggle we had in December last year. But I kind of felt a little rebound from the activities I was observing while helping a client purchase a condo in downtown Toronto. But in this video, I would like to discuss some of the struggles of sellers I saw in the condo market in Toronto and also share some unique stats on other regions of the GTA as well. If you are looking for some insight and mindset for sellers in the current state of Toronto, stay tuned and I'll get to it right after this. Welcome back, I'm Antonio, a local real estate agent in the GTA. Happy New Year again, and if you have any sort of inquiries or general questions about real estate, don't hesitate to book a call with me using the first link in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content I put out every single week. The struggle for sellers in Toronto is no joke. You may have heard the news about it due to the high interest rate and the fact that it is not easy for sellers to accept the loss, especially for those who bought during the peak times. I could relate to that since I was working with my buyer client, and here is a little quick story about the seller. Imagine you are the seller who bought a condo in Regent Park in 2019, a one-bedroom condo at about $530,000 just about 4 years ago. For those who are not familiar with the mortgage lengths in Ontario, a typical fixed-rate mortgage in Canada renews in 5 years or less. That means the seller is close to renewal. And with this high interest rate period, the mortgage amount could jump quite high. And that is the reason why some sellers want to sell it or even at a loss because they simply can't afford the monthly payment. The history indicates that the present seller bought this unit on October 9 of 2019 and that they may have continued to use it until they rented out in 2022. On August 9 of 2023, they listed the unit for sale at $550,000. The seller adjusted the price to $560,000 in just 8 days. They were probably testing the market earlier, but I'm assuming that they were holding offers and couldn't get the price they wanted. So they decided to disclose what the seller was expecting. As you can see, the listing was finally terminated and taken off the market after remaining available until November 22nd of 2023. On December 6, 2023, it was relisted again, this time for a very low price of $499,000. Again, I will assume they were holding offers to try the luck again, but were not successful and adjusted the price to their expectation price of $539,000 on December 21st of 2023. Pretty much this record indicates the seller tried twice but couldn't get the price they wanted. This time around, my client really liked this unit, which was perfect because the location was close to his work. However, the challenge is that the most recent sale in the same area and building was indicating about $522,000 to $525,000. We are stuck in a situation where the buyer would not want to overpay according to the most recent sale, and the seller stuck in his own right when the seller purchased at $530,000 in 2019, meaning that not only they didn't get the appreciation from the 4 years they own it, but they also have to pay the taxes and agent fee on top of it. It is really a tough position for the seller, but if they keep the unit, it is also anyone's guess when the market starts to pick up. Although everyone would say that the market will trend up during the spring, that means the seller has to assume the mortgage until then, without a clear indication that the price can go up. Remember, even if they announce a rate cut, as many analysts suggest, the price is still not going to pick up right away. Eventually, after a long negotiation, the seller decided to let go of the price of $530,000, which was his original purchase price in 2019. Obviously, it wasn't the best price for what the seller was expecting, but I will assume he simply no longer wanted to assume the mortgage any longer. This is an example of seller's situation in the current state of the real estate market from my active transaction in Regent Park. I hope you found some insight into the market through my client's purchase, and let's take a look overall at how the market behaved in terms of prices in relation to its listing price. It is sometimes hard to determine distressed sales since the listing price is somewhat hard to justify, since a common strategy for many sellers is to list a non-realistic low price price to attract multiple offers or bidding wars. So obviously the price would be much higher than the listing price. However, I think a way to tell if the price is in distress is by checking how much the sold price was below the listing price. In my opinion, I found that 15% under the listing price would be a good indication of a distressed sales in 2023. So how bad was it in 2023? The following is the data I extracted for the most important regions in the GTA, which include Toronto, York, Peel, Houghton, and Durham as references. And I separated the asset class between the condos and freehold properties that exclude the mobile trucker, the rural residence, store with an apartment or office, and vacant land. This is also further proof that most price reductions are in the larger value freehold properties, and the condos are a bit more resilient but also harder to move. Let's take a closer look at the condos in the city of Toronto, and this is for the period starting from January of 2023 until the present day of January 13, the day that I shoot this video. There were a total of 22 sold transactions that were at least 15% under the listing price and were the most among the 5 regions, which was quite expected since Toronto has the most condos. Then we have York, where only 3 transactions were sold at 15% or more under the listing price, followed by Peel by 2, Houghton also at 2, and Durham only at 1. This pretty much aligned with my expectations since Durham was the least concentrated condo area out of the 5 regions. Although we have seen the market pretty much stalled since the rate hike and also recorded a historic low in sales, we didn't see many transactions that recorded at least 15% below the listing price. That may also be an indication that the sellers are starting to adapt to the situation and are not listing ridiculously with the prices, or that it simply wasn't as bad as many people predicted. So let me walk you through from the realm. Here is the location in Toronto, and we are looking at the condo apartments only. Category, we are looking into the sold transactions from January of 2023 all the way to the January 14 of 2024 as of recording of this video. And one of the main filters that we are looking at is the percentage versus the listing price. Here is between 0 to 85%, which is around 15% from the listing price. And the result, we have 22. As you can see, they are listed from the most recent in December 26 to 16 and all the way through in January of 2023. So let's look at one of the most recent sales to give you an example how much the price has reduced from the listing. This condo unit were listed for 1.15 million. It was on the market for 22 days and finally sold at 975,000, which is a difference of 85% or 15% down. And this is a 1+1 unit. There's a parking space and it's a huge unit between 1200 to 1399 square feet. Let's take a look at some of the pictures and see this is quite large and it is quite updated. It's quite a unique condo unit, the South Riverdale, and you can see this is a huge space and in the core of downtown. And as you can see, it is a loft unit that has a second floor. See, there's also a den area where you can put a computer desk, and this is the bedroom overlooking the kitchen. And here upstairs, let's take a look. It is another den area where you can put a small bed or couch, and there's a big terrace. It is updated with a deck. So let's take a look at the property history to learn more about this transaction. And it was most recently sold during December of 2017. The seller tried to list last year in October 17 at 1.249 million. Obviously, it wasn't successful. And the seller tried on November 6th to list it, were terminated, and also in November 21st was also terminated, and he tried one more time during the December, also got terminated. Eventually, this time around, he listed in January, and in 22 days, I guess the seller learned and it took a hit And ultimately, he listed at 1.15 and sold for 975,000. It is a significant amount of 15% down from the listing price. So let's take another example, and this time we're going to your region. It's a condo unit. We are looking for sold transactions, and from January 1st to January 14th of 2024, and we have percentage listing price between 0 to 85, which is 15% down from the listing price. Here we have 3 results. The most recent was in May of last year, 2023. So let's take a look at this 520 Stills Avenue. This is an older apartment, as you can see in the picture. It was listed for $899,900. Actually sold after 160 days on the market. Eventually sold for $600,000. So we have a difference of 67%. Quite shocking, but this is a huge unit between 1,200 to 1,399 square feet. It is a 3-bedroom with 2 bathrooms. And let's take a look at some of the picture to see how it looks. And this is the exterior of the building, and this is the lobby, and this is the penthouse number 3. There's a huge foyer. Kitchen seems like they have updated. And it looks pretty nice in the penthouse with many natural lights. This is the living room. Let's take a look at the property histories. Here is the complete property history. So this unit was last purchased in 2016 November for $685,000. They tried to list it last year in January for $899,900. And it didn't sell, and it was put on the market for at least 4 months, from January to May, and finally sold for $600,000. Let's take a look at the freehold properties in the 5 regions. Right off the bat, we can see that there are far more sold transactions in the freehold properties market than the condo units that were sold at least 15% less than the listing price. Leading the way again is Toronto at 91 units, York is second at 71, Peel at 62, Houghton at 28, and finally Durham at 37. It is as expected, Toronto the most, but in this case Durham is higher than Houghton. After going through all these transactions, I hope you can grasp a bit of the mindset of the sellers and also some insights about the current condo and freehold properties in the GTA that include Toronto, York, Peel, Houghton, and Durham. Like always, if you like the content, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss my next video that I put up. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you in the next